The clock blinked 3:33 a.m. Ethan's eyes snapped open. His heart pounded like a drum solo. Something was wrong. He could feel it in his bones. Ethan sat up in bed, his breath catching in his throat. His hands were covered in a thick crimson liquid. Blood. Panic seized him. Ethan's room was dark, the only light coming from the street lamp outside his window. Shadows danced across the walls, twisting and turning like phantoms. He scrambled out of bed, his bare feet hitting the cold hardwood floor. His mind raced, trying to make sense of the situation. Where was the blood coming from? What had happened? He fumbled for the light switch, his hand trembling. The sudden brightness made him squint. His room was exactly as he left it, except for the blood staining his hands. Ethan's gaze darted around the room, searching for any sign of a struggle, any clue as to what had transpired. There was nothing. Ethan rushed to the bathroom, his heart pounding in his chest. He scrubbed his hands frantically, desperately trying to wash away the blood and the fear that clung to him like a shroud. As the water ran red, a terrifying thought crept into his mind. What if it wasn't his blood? The next morning, Ethan felt like he was living in a nightmare. The memory of the blood, the terror, it all felt too real to be just a bad dream. He avoided his parents' worried questions, his mind still reeling from the experience. As he left for school, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. At school, everything seemed normal, mundane even. Ethan sat through his first period class, his mind a million miles away. The blood, the fear, it all felt distant, like a fading memory. He blinked, just once, and the world around him dissolved into a blur. When his vision cleared, Ethan found himself sitting in his third period history class. He was surrounded by his classmates, the teacher's voice droning on about the French Revolution. Ethan's breath caught in his throat. He had no memory of the second period. He had no memory of leaving his previous class, of walking down the hallway, of anything. A cold shiver ran down his spine. He blinked again, expecting to be transported to another time, another place. But nothing happened. Ethan sat there, frozen in place, as a terrifying thought took root in his mind. He was losing time. The day continued in a similar unsettling fashion. Ethan would blink and find himself transported to different locations, different times, with no memory of the moments in between. He would be walking down the hallway, blink, and suddenly, he would be at his locker. He would be in the cafeteria, blink, and find himself on the bus ride home. Fear gnawed at his insides. He couldn't control it. He couldn't stop it. The world around him was becoming a disjointed, confusing mess. Ethan felt like he was losing his mind, trapped in a terrifying game he didn't understand. One afternoon as he was walking home from school, Ethan noticed a dark figure trailing him. It was a tall, shadowy figure, its features obscured by the fading light. He tried to ignore it, to convince himself it was just his imagination playing tricks on him. But the figure remained, always keeping its distance, always watching. Later that night, Ethan found a note slipped under his bedroom door. The handwriting was shaky, the words chilling. "Stop blinking. They are watching. They are coming." Ethan's blood ran cold. He was not alone. Someone, or something, was aware of his terrifying ability, and they were afraid. Driven by fear and curiosity, Ethan decided to confront the mystery head-on. The note mentioned they, suggesting a group or a presence rather than a single individual. His mind raced, trying to connect the dots, to make sense of the cryptic warning. The only clue he had was the shadowy figure that continued to follow him. He decided to lead the figure on a chase, a desperate attempt to either lose it or confront it. His heart pounded in his chest as he raced through the deserted streets, his pursuer always a few steps behind. He could feel its presence, cold and menacing, like a shadow clinging to his heels. Ethan's frantic run led him to the abandoned hospital on the outskirts of town, a place shrouded in local legends and whispered rumors. It was a place of decay and despair, its crumbling walls and empty corridors reeking of forgotten suffering. He slipped through a broken window, his heart pounding in his chest, the shadowy figure still hot on his trail. The hospital was dark and silent, the air thick with the smell of dust and decay. Ethan's flashlight flickered, casting eerie shadows that danced across the walls. He could hear his own breath echoing in the silence, each inhale and exhale a testament to his growing fear. As he ventured deeper into the hospital, he stumbled upon a sight that sent shivers down his spine. A man stood in the middle of a dilapidated operating room, his back to Ethan. He was tall and imposing, dressed in a long black coat that seemed to absorb the surrounding light. The man slowly turned, and Ethan gasped. The figure had no face. It was a blank slate, devoid of features, an empty canvas that stared back at him with chilling indifference.